Welcome back to Canard Boulevard. I'm Scott, and today we're going to go up and try to fix some landings. I've been having some issues with the nose wheel on landing. It's coming down too hard, so we're going to see what we can do about that in today's episode. So we're going to depart here from my home airport, 4G8, which is Columbia, Ohio. The runway is in rather sad shape, as you can see here. I'm getting bounced all over the place. We are doing what we can to get the owner to fix this runway. He doesn't want to spend the money, and, well, that's a whole nother story. But as you can see, I get bounced off the runway and into the air, and I'm going to climb out. So let me explain what we're talking about here. When I come in to land, I want to be able to just land on the main wheels and then hold off the nose wheel and do some aerodynamic braking to slow the airplane down before I let the nose wheel down gently, and then I can apply the brakes. And it's going to save on my brake linings, like, the brake pads, and also hopefully make for a gentler arrival and be more kind to the nose wheel on my airplane. If you've seen my previous videos, the instant the main wheels touch, the nose wheel slams down and then I'm on the brakes. So here I'm going to use Lorain County Regional Airport, which is a little bit longer runway. And the first time I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to try to come in a bit faster and see if that means I can have a little more lift on the canard so that I can hold the nose up. And maybe that's what needs to be done, is I need to actually land at a higher speed and that way hold the nose off until it slows down and then gently let it down to the ground. So let's see how that works out. I'm holding it off. Let the mains touch. And nope, that's not going to work. So as you can see, I came in a little bit faster. I crossed the numbers at about 85 knots there, and I was just going to float all day long down that runway. That's obviously not going to work because the airplane never wants to land. There's just too much energy, and it just floats all the way down. I knew when I got about halfway down the runway, I thought, nope, this is not going to work. I'm not going to get down. If I do actually get it on the ground, I'm going to burn up my brakes trying to get it stopped. So I just gave up that attempt and went around. So let's try it again. We're going to slow it down this time. My plan on this one is to cross the numbers right about 75 knots or so. Last one was 85, clearly far too fast. This one we're going to do 75. "75 knots across the numbers is pretty much what I usually do, and so we're going to see how that works out here. Obviously 85 didn't work at all, so here we come in at 75 knots. And as you can see, the nose wheel comes right down. I was, even with the stick back, as soon as those mains touched, I was unable to keep the nose wheel off the ground. It just tossed it right back on the ground. So let's go around and give it another try. If you notice, there was a lot of birds at this airport. You can see them flying all over the place. There was a giant flock of birds that I scared off when I taxied down to the far end of this runway during my previous landing. And you can see they're just flying all over the place here, and it was making me more than a little nervous. I reported it on the CTAF, and the airport actually sent a truck out down the runway to try to scare them away, but it didn't really do much good. All right, this time we're going to come around and we're going to be much slower. As you can tell, this time I'm carrying much less energy in. I'm coming in much slower, and because I'm actually slower, you can see I'm sinking a little bit more than I should be. I'm definitely too low at this point because I've pulled the power out to try to slow down, so I'm going to have to give it some power here because I'm actually sinking a little bit too much. So here you can hear me bring in some power just to arrest that descent, but I'm still holding my speed down. I want to try and cross the numbers here at 65 knots. Now, this airplane stalls at about 61 or 62, so we're just above stall here across the numbers. So this is about as slow as I can bring it in here, really, realistically. And there we go. The mains are on the ground. The nose is finally down. So I was able to do it simply by coming in slow. I could get the mains on the ground, hold the nose up, and then finally it quit flying and came down. All right, I'm pretty sure I know what was happening and why. So here's the airplane coming in to land, and you're not really flaring. You're kind of just holding the nose up like this, and the mains touch, and then of course the nose comes down. I think what's happening is that when I am going faster, the mains actually touch the ground, and they're not moving, and so it takes some friction on the mains. You hear the tires squeak when you touch down, and there is friction, and so as it hits, it grabs the wheels as it's trying to spin them up, and that pivots the nose down. And as soon as that nose comes down, it's not flying anymore. So it's coming in, hitting the wheels, and it's just slamming the nose down because I'm going fast. So I think the velocity is what's causing the nose to go in. So when I come in slower, there's not as much sudden velocity trying to spin up those wheels, and the nose down moment from those wheels spinning up isn't as much, and so I'm able to maintain the nose up, and now I can go down the runway like this, scrubbing off speed aerodynamically until the Canard quits flying and then the nose comes down gently. That's my guess. All right, so now I've got it correct, and I think I know why. But in the meantime, let's get out of this airport and away from all these birds because they're just everywhere, and it's really making me nervous because I really don't want to hit one. I especially don't want to have one come through the canopy or through the prop or take out a control surface or something equally as bad. So I'm going to get away from this airport and head on home. And as you can see through this high-speed flight here, my home airport is not very far at all from Lorraine. It's just a few minutes flight. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in slow. So I want to come across the numbers at about 65 knots, and we'll see how that works out. But that said, this is a short runway, and I do want to get on the brakes. So yes, I'm going to come in and try and touch down at 65 knots, but I'm not going to hold the nose off. I want to get that nose down because I do want to get on the brakes, and I can't put the brakes on until I get the nose down. And as you can see up in the sky above me, Cleveland is routing airplanes in to Cleveland International Airport, and they are only about 500 feet above our pattern altitude, and they are right above us. So when the wind is coming in the direction it was today, we share our pattern with big jets. So nice stabilized approach coming in here. I've got both rudders out to try to make sure I'm at the correct altitude, crossing right about 65 knots here. And as soon as the mains touch down, I let the nose down and I'm on the brakes. And of course, the runway is bouncing me all over the place because it's just heaving and undulating. Just really need to do something about this runway. So this is the absolute shortest landing I've ever done in this runway. You can see I stopped well short of that first turnaround. I've got a good 1,000 feet to go down to the end of that runway. So yeah, definitely the 65 knot crossing is something I'm going to have to start doing now, because that's obviously what the problem was with my landings. And as I'm taxiing back in, I just wanted to take this time to thank you for following me along here. Hey, if you have anybody else that's interested in aviation, in airplanes, in Canards, anything at all, please, hey, send them a link to this channel so that we can get some more subscribers and viewers. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, click like, leave a comment down below. And hey, if you have any comments, suggestions, corrections, anything at all that you want to let me know, leave it in the comment section below. I really do appreciate all the interaction that I get from you guys, and I do try to answer everything that you guys send me. And I have found some really interesting and valuable information from other people who know far more about the Cozy and Canards and aviation in general than I do. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but I readily readily accept that I am no expert. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone.